I am speaking with my friend, Peggy O'Neal, who lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So I'm in Texas, Peggy's in Fayetteville, and we thought we'd get together and have some conversations about where we're at and the things that we're learning and what we're sharing, what we're writing about, all those kind of things. So I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but we're going to have a good time.
We will. We always do, Kathy.
Like we always do. I know. Peggy and I have known each other for years. She was a teacher of mine in my coaching certification program, and she's lived all over the world, as have I. Or we've both lived in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
So
and mine too. So we've
and that's
our friendship is a teacher as well, but we're also taking a few things from you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we have this connection that goes back at least like over 20 years.
I know, Kathy.
I'm excited. I'm excited for our talk today. I just looked, it's a little off topic, but since we're on Zoom, I saw a story recently that said you're more credible on Zoom if you have books in the background or plants. So there you are, everybody. Anybody that's listening, these are our secrets, right? Peggy's got plants, I've got books. Who knows? We'll see. You can let us know if it works.
Right, let us know. That's good.
Yeah. It follows on its way up there. We're recording this on October 6th, 2023.
Yeah, it's getting cooler, and so it's been fun. In fact, yesterday I had an early start, and it was 60 degrees yesterday morning. I walked in the dark. I love walking in the dark. Today I thought maybe I'll walk in the dark again, but it was like 50 degrees. No, I'll wait till the sun comes up today. So it's still not cold by any means, but the fall is in the air, so it's been great.
Definitely. Yeah, that Christmas feels so good. I've been seeing some of the photos you're posting of the sunrises, and they're really beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things I do, and Peggy, we both do it in different ways, but it's about how do we find our true selves? What's our true nature? Peggy talks about it as your true nature. I talk about as, who are you? How do you find your true self? And I wanted to get together with Peggy today just first to have some conversations and start to explore some things that could be a value for you. So there's a couple of things that are on my mind for a number of reasons. One is healing and self-healing and the role that emotions have in our healing. And the other one, and Peggy and I both work with emotions with our clients as well. The other thing is, what is the role of emotions? How do we look at our emotions when we're going through a period of time when everything is so crazy outside of us? Mm-hmm. So those are a couple of things, and we each have perspectives on that. And a lot of times we agree, and occasionally we don't. We may not see eye to eye, and that's completely okay. I sat next to a woman on a plane going to Chicago, and this woman decided to tell me everything about her in 2 hours, less than, on the way to Chicago. So I just really shifted into this curious place. And, this open place, because there was no way. First of all, look, I get a word in edgewise. I ask a question or two once in a while. But she clearly was very, very passionate about who she is. So Peggy and I both are really passionate, and we each are curious about the other's point of view. And so I encourage you to also consider bringing curiosity in your life, which is one of the key tenets that I learned in the coaching program with Peggy. So Peggy, I know you've taken some healing courses, and maybe that's not part of your main work. I know it influences who you are, right?
Right. Yeah. So like you said, I've taken some healing courses. We took one together.
Yes.
still living
Reiki.
Alan, a year and a half ago or so. Anyway, and
Yeah, it was before you moved, obviously.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And but I have been really, I'm starting to bring that into the work that I'm doing. You know, there are so I've run across some people who have been able to heal themselves of cancer, for example. And so I've been I took a course from one of those people, her introductory course into resonant attention, I think is what she called it, resonant attention, Stella Eisenstein. I took her introductory course twice because I knew, speaking of emotions, that I knew the healing work she was doing that was really with the body, that the same approach could be used with emotions. And so, in fact, she told me that during one of the webinars when she said, "What do you do?" And she said, "Oh, you can use that with coaching." And so been doing some of that work, bringing it into the work with clients, both for emotional work, but also with physical symptoms, people that are interested in applying it in that way too. Of course, I'm holding myself out. I'm not at all a medical person. I'm not a doctor at all. So but I do believe that these approaches offer a lot of possibility for us to heal ourselves without having to go to a doctor, if that resonates. I think a big part of it is what resonates. And some people may say, "No, I want the pure American medical approach," and that's fine, that's great. But for those of us that are curious, I wonder if there's some approaches I could take on that I could heal my body. So she's one, and there's a woman named Lisa Warner who has also healed herself of cancer. So I've been reading her book, and some of my clients have been too. And then some other studies I've been doing. I'm bringing all that together to help us actually have some skills, intuitive ability, understanding, perspective to be able to bring to our own healing at the level that each of us feels inspired to do. So just lately, it's become a big part of at least the immediate future with some of my clients. As you know, I have an ongoing program. So in that program, we've been focusing on that.
It's really in a huge part of the collective right now, this interest in self-healing. How do I get past these things? So many people are going through radical changes, whether it's jobs, careers, people transitioning out of life, they're in their family and friends. There's so many, like I counted up, I either know or know of in my family and friends at least 8 people that have passed on in the last month, less than a month.
I'm sorry.
And so, oh, thank you. It's that observational approach, looking at, how do I look at this? Yes, am I sad for them? Or, and yes, I'm sad for them. And on some level, that's what where their spirit was called, right? Maybe up to 9, because a neighbor's father wandered off and didn't make it home last week. But yeah, so whether it is losing somebody, changing jobs, just this unsettledness about the way things are, I think people are curious. They're looking, they're craving more ways to get outside of the system, right? And again, I'm exactly like you. I would never ever discourage somebody from getting treatment in a Western medical approach, right? Just if I had certain things wrong with me, I might combine them, or it just depends, right? Like I just watched last night on Prime Video this documentary called Heal. It's definitely, I mean, that's the name of it, Heal. And Anita Morjani was on there, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, a number of the energy people, if you will, right? Quite a few, Marianne Williamson, quite a few names you would have heard of. And it's just, they talked about the role of emotions and our attitudes and how we feel and how we can cure ourselves. So that got me thinking about our topic today. And I have, as you know, been working to increase my understanding of energy and how energy works, and have I'll say practice, because I'm not paid for it yet, practice some remote healing that has been very effective.
Oh, wonderful.
So, that gets back to that. What that's all about is that we're all connected.
Right.
And what is my intention for that person, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
That we're all connected.
That we're all connected. Mm-hmm.
Well, as you know, for the last, gosh, now 6-7 years, something like that, I've been studying non-duality, non-dual traditions, the wisdom traditions, which science is saying the same thing, that we're actually all one being. So we share our being with everyone and everything. So it's similar to waves in the ocean. We would never say a wave is separate from the ocean, or this wave is separate from this wave. We would just say, oh, they're each unique expressions of this ocean. And we're actually very similar to that. We're waves in one ocean. There is no separation. And which is kind of mind-blowing for people that pursue it beyond the concept of it. People do say, oh yeah, we're all one, but I'm talking about a lived experience of knowing that we're all one. And so from that perspective, talking about healing, if we're all one, that means also we're one, like I said, too, well, with everyone and everything. Okay. But but really with everything. So that means we're one with the universe, source. God's infinite being is the religious name, awareness, consciousness. And then we get to other names for that: infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, infinite possibility. So when we really are in touch with that experientially and know that, that's actually what's possible with regard to healing. Infinite possibilities. Miracles, really, literally anything can happen right now. I mean, right now, actually, this is a miracle. We're one being. Seems like we're separate. It seems like we're having a conversation. I mean, when we get into it, all of this is such a miracle that if we can open to truly believing that, yeah, miracles are really possible. That's not a new age thing. I am not a new age person at all. It's not new agey. It's not even spiritual. It is just the reality of life. And so when we can open to that, then and experience being one with everything, then we do truly open up to healing in all kinds of different ways. And healing, I think this would be something you would think too, Kathy, is that with healing, sometimes our egoic mind might think healing means the physical healing. But as we really get into this, sometimes we can know too that, oh, this healing, that I don't know about the physical, whether this will heal, but I'm definitely feeling healed because of what's transforming in my understanding of myself and how I'm living and experiencing life. And the physical may not heal as well. So sometimes healing doesn't mean the physical, but it means just an emotional, a different understanding, a transformational experience about my relationship to it all. But that being said, because not at all saying that the miracle might include the physical, but we're more likely to have those physical miracles when we really believe that. I mean, there are all kinds of stories that way, like the 2 women I mentioned that cured themselves of cancer. They didn't go traditional medicine. I'm sure they ate better and did some, although this one woman says she really didn't do anything outrageous, but I think she probably did eat better and do a few things like that. So that to me is what the really knowing who we truly are also makes possible is that true belief in miracles and anything that's possible, because the universe is being created in every second, really probably less time than that, but I don't know, I call it a nanosecond sometimes, but it's such, everything is just being created right now, right now, right now. And so when we start altering our beliefs and our way perspective of the world and ourselves, then that's when a new creation can happen right now, right now, right now, because we're shifting our reality, the nature of our being.
Yeah, it's all that quantum plane, right? That's really happening, that if we're aware of it, we can draw all those things to us. And emotions do have a huge role in who we are and what we think is possible. Because and those can be programmed from the time we're born. And in all of our beliefs and our self-concepts, etc., all start getting drilled into us through not only our families, but through our culture, our communities, our churches, all the organizations that we're, schools where we're exposed, right? And so without being mindful of that, as you know, and we've both experienced, those can cause triggers through our lives and definitely can cause illnesses. So really working on clearing those emotions at the root level is really important. It's one thing, I work with people on emotional intelligence. So it's one thing to learn, how do we respond to the world around us? What emotions show up for me and how do I use those? And then how do I respond internally, right? How do I respond to who I am? And how do I respond to what's going on out there? And our emotions all play a part of that. I mean, we can't live without our emotions. We're a human being. So that on a leadership level, that's how I work with people. I'm looking at moving into, okay, how can people move emotions? And there's all sorts of, like you indicated, there's many different ways that can happen, and many practitioners and openings of how to move energy. EFT is a good one. There's just so many different ways to move emotions, and what we want to do is move those emotions out. It's like pulling a thorn out, right? It's like plucking something out. It feels so much better. So yeah, what about emotions? What would you add to that?
Well, the paradox I've discovered is just exactly what you're saying. We want to get rid of them, and when we're trying to get rid of them is actually when they can get louder or get stuck. It's back to that old cliche, what you resist persists. And so our egoic mind goes, oh, okay, they're trying to get rid of this. She's trying to get rid of this. So we're going to intensify this. So it can actually keep it around. So the first challenge that I've understood and been working with is to not try to get rid of it, and knowing that by not trying to get rid of it, and what I'm about to say about allowing it, that it'll probably move on. But it's a little tricky thing. I was working with an old emotion, like you said, since I was probably a toddler at least. And I thought to myself, can I live with this? That's a question that Rupert Spira, a non-dual teacher, mentions. Can I live with this the rest of my life? And so I was asking, because I could tell I was trying to get rid of it. And it wasn't doing anything but getting louder, getting more. And so I asked myself, can I live with this the rest of my life? And my first thought was, no, I don't want to live with this the rest of my life. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. At that point, you've been living with this 60 something years, you could probably live with it the rest of your life. Then all of a sudden I relaxed in that and shifted and just recognized I could live with this the rest of my life. And let me be with it now in the way that I know is possible, to give it the chance to move on out, because I also believe emotions just want to be seen. And most of the time we spend our energy denying it. I can't look at that. I'm going to go get busy. So we go avoid it, or we deny it. We somehow we we get busy, we drink, we watch TV, do something, take a walk. Take a walk can be good, but if we're denying it or avoiding it, then it's just going to linger. So,
well, and pushing it down or stuffing it, that is a big formula for disease and illness.
so
Unfortunately.
the key is to welcome it. Just welcome it like you would a friend, just to be there, witness
Then
it.
get curious. Yeah, I think the theme of this talk is getting curious.
Getting curious.
Yeah, there, as you know, when you journey into self-development or whatever you call what we do, this journey, right, of introspection and learning, you start to realize, well, there's all these things, and if we're truly all one and everything's love, well, then why do I resist this irritation? Why do I resist this, whatever it is, thing that I don't want? And it's back to, one of the things I think you're pointing toward with the emotion that was bubbling up for you is, how do I allow this, right? How do I be with it? Another way to say it is, how do I allow it, excuse me, and let it be okay. Let it be okay. Because everything you are is a beautiful being.
Yeah, I just welcome it. I even say, you're welcome. Welcome to be, not like you're welcome, like thank you, but you're welcome to be here, and just think about it like I'm having tea with a friend. You're just welcome to be here and be that like you said, just allowing it to be there, move into that energy. And then, yeah, after a while, often it'll start moving, or if it hadn't moved on after a while, you're gonna have to be careful. Am I trying to get rid of it? No, I'm just allowing it. Then, sometimes it'll move along later when I'm doing something else and not paying attention to it. Then I go, oh, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that? Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lesson in there of its own. Just what reality is what we observe. Like, the world doesn't occur for us until we observe it, more or less, right? Yeah. So it's all back. There's a quantum physics experiment, or is that Schrodinger's cat? I'm not. There's some quantum physics experiment.
The double slit experiment.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I mean, it might be Schrodinger's cat too.
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah, that one is more like, is the cat alive or not? And you can't really tell till you open the box. They're similar, but the double slit is more, more what we're talking about there. So anyway, but yeah, just healing is coming up a lot. I just, right before we got together.
So what are you doing with healing? So I'm getting curious about what all you're doing. So you've been asking me a lot, which is great. I love to talk about what I'm doing, but I want to hear what you're doing with healing and emotions, and what your work is.
Yeah, I do the standard work around emotions, which is the corporate work, which is a formal training around emotional intelligence that I do for leadership teams. So I do that ongoing, and that puts a framework around emotions and what happens, where we feel it in our bodies. So there's a little somatic experience part of that as well. So that's ongoing. And, personally, for me, it's a journey of continuing to look at what emotions I'm experiencing and how is it affecting me and how do I want to do differently, right? So there's all sorts of emotions up and down, and emotions basically are energy. And some emotions are not ours. And so that's another thing that I work with, is this mind. Like I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I'm naturally an introvert, and there were all of these people and there was a happy hour, and I went down to see if I could find somebody I knew. And I looked it was kind of a small bar. I looked and I couldn't see anybody, and it was just loud, and I just kind of freaked out and went back upstairs, right? So I let my emotions get the best of me. but sometimes, it's people that if you walk through a mall and you're like, oh, like all of a sudden you feel bad when you get back, right? It may not be your emotion. It may be something, if you're an empathetic person, it may be some energy, an energetic emotion that attached to you. So that's one way I look at emotions and help people is this your emotion? Is this something, I mean, for you, clearly, you said it's been with you since you were a child. Okay. So whether you want to own it or not, that's not for me to say, but it's clearly an energy that's present. But if you go to a Halloween party, for example, and you're happy when you walked in, and then when you leave, you're like, then likely there's some type of energy or emotional energy that you picked up in the room. When we go into some of these places, there's all sorts of emotions that people project, right? Emotions are chemical. And so I would imagine, they project out into our energy field. So just being aware of that, helping people be aware of their emotions and do they belong or not? And what could they do if they're not? And it's pretty easy. If you decide it's not yours, you just disconnect from all emotions and energy that are not yours. I use that so much. So that crosses over into that healing category. How do we keep our own energy clear? And you were talking earlier about all being connected. And so I was having coffee with a client this morning and I asked her, because Peggy, thank you for subscribing. Peggy and I take each other's newsletters. Excuse me, I've got a frog here. I asked her, I said, what would you like to see more of in my newsletter? What would you like to read about? And she rattled off some things and she said, ancestral healing. Well, Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is less than a month from now. It's November 1st and 2nd. So it is the time where spiritual people will say the veil is the thinnest. So ancestral healing, I'm on a tangent here, but it kind of all connects. It connects back to what you were talking about.
You've been focusing on that for a while.
Yeah, well, I led some classes last fall and then I got really busy and I haven't done anything since then, but it's coming up again. So it's just interesting how these things come up for you, for you to look at. And it gets back to what you were talking about us all being connected. And we also, according to quantum physics, we also have many lives in many dimensions. And there's theory, I can't wrap my head around it, maybe you can, but that we're living all of our lives at once. I'm having a hard time with that. But let's go with it. If we go with it, then certain aspects of who we are and certain of our lineages in our ancestors have certain energies and emotions that they pass down to us. And so ancestral healing is pretty interesting in terms of helping us get to the root of what might be holding us back. So I'm looking at that. I'll probably write some about it. And as far as my Substack newsletter, it's called The Light in Us, and The Light in Us. And I'll get back to how to get in touch with you in just a minute. One of the things you can do is you can offer a free subscription and you can offer also paid subscription. So I'm looking at, on the paid side, what do people get? And so they might get some healing modalities right behind that paywall. So, and especially this time of year, maybe the ancestors are knocking on our doors going, come visit me, we want to talk. So it's pretty powerful when those families and our heritage and our lineage comes through. It's amazingly
Fascinating.
healing and powerful in itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those are some of the things I'm exploring, and always I've taken modality after modality of healing, and I think a lot of it is in search of healing my own self. But as you know, all the classes that we take, all and things that we learn, all go to shape what we then turn around and teach our clients and share with our clients on a one-on-one basis.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
What else? Anything else you want to share? And then I want you to share your website and let people know how to get in touch with you.
Well, I mean, talking about healing, I do think, like you said early on, that more people are getting interested in it, in self-healing and learning more about energetic healing, and so I'm just excited about that for us human beings to be able to and what's coming to me right now is to be able to accept and allow more of our humanity. So Mary Magdalene, I'm not religious, but Mary Magdalene, they found her writings, I think in 1945, hidden in a cave. And so I have a version of her writings. And she says that we're here to be more fully human. And I think this is part of being more fully human, to know and access these capabilities, these inherent capabilities that I think, at least in the Western culture, most of us have been cut off from for many, many, many years, because we've been taught there's an expert out there that knows, and just go to the expert. But it just keeps cutting off our ability to, back to one of your first comments or questions, to know ourselves, our true self. So we keep looking outside of who am I? We go read a book about who I am, or take a test about my personality, and that's all fine. I mean, I like to take tests too, but to know who we truly are, it takes turning around and looking here. And then the same thing with the healing, is that we just have these inherent, incredible capabilities to heal ourselves, to know ourselves, to be more intuitive. And I don't mean intuitive like a skill. I mean to be just inherently sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive like crying sensitive, to be in tune with the universe, in tune with ourselves, with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about what you're talking about and bringing forward with regard to healing, because that's part of it, is to be able to listen to ourselves, know ourselves, and then we're able to be more fully human, a more rich life, a meaningful life. I mean, that we just feel more meaningful, because now we're deeply connected to these capabilities that most of us have had hidden or covered over. And nobody did anything wrong. It's what our parents learned and other people learned, that this was the way to go. But now we're opening to, well, maybe there's another possibility. I mean, we're really curious about who are we really? What's really possible if we knew ourselves deeply?
Yeah, it started hundreds and thousands of years ago, where people there started to be this group over here that had all the power, that knew all the secrets, that knew all these things that are being taught today, right? And the church controlled people's access, or at least people thought their access was being controlled, right? And so if people that are listening to this are church people and religious, totally love you for that. That's completely okay, right? Because in this world right now, there's so many different points of view, approaches to seeking oneself and seeking who you truly are, seeking your true self. And that's one of the many paths, right? It doesn't preclude all the other paths. So there's a lot of paths, and one of the things we want to do is make people's path okay, wherever they are.
Definitely, yeah.
Right? to make it okay. And that, that this is topic for another time, but meditation, we've both been talking about going within. Who are we? Right? Who are we? What's our true selves, our true nature? And meditation is a great tool, practice, I'd rather say. It's a great practice for that. So if you're watching this and you want to comment and you'd like to know more about meditation, please let me know. Okay, Peggy,
They can reach out to me. That my email is peggy@peggy-oneal.com. So if they have any questions, or peggy@peggy-oneal.com, or they can go to my website, peggy-oneal.com, and sign up for my newsletter, where I write articles weekly about what we're talking about here. And included in there, I offer a free workshop once a month, and there are YouTube videos, so it has links to that in there, and a Facebook group that has links to that in the newsletter. So that, and then I have a LinkedIn page. So would love to anybody connect in any of those ways. And it's been great being with you, Kathy, and thank you for everybody who's watching and listening. I appreciate that you were with us today.
Yeah.
And the day that you're watching this.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, everyone. And I hope you'll tune in for more. And again, my name is Kathy Garland, KathyGarland. My website is kathygarland.com. And on there, you can sign up for my Substack newsletter that goes out once a week. And I receive notices of classes and all sorts of goings on around here. And, basically how to find your true self and how to dive more into that and live a better life. All right, Peggy, thanks so much. Great talking to you.
Thank you, Kathy. It has been great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.